What's going on, everybody? My name is AJ Capasso. I am the founder and host of Talking with the Story. I'm here with my good friend.
It's Robin from IHeart Paranormal and Talking with the Source.
Wow.
And just so as you know, I'm actually in the car at the minute, as you can see. So when I'm not talking, I'll mute.
Thank the Lord. You know what I mean? Thank the Lord.
I mean, I know you want me to mute all the time, but
yeah, I can only. Yeah, it's wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
Well, that's one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. No. But anyway, no. I'm glad that you're with us, man. Even though you're in the car right now, that's awesome. Hey, I want to first shout out to a couple places. I want to shout out to Paralinks. We are live right now on Paralinks Plus on Facebook. If you haven't heard of Paralinks, head over there. There's a bunch of different groups. Paralinks 1, 2, 3, Paralinks Plus, Live. I mean, you name it. A bunch of paranormal podcasts. Great group of people. So head over there. We are also live on Parapost Network. Unfortunately, I don't have a huge logo for them, but as you can see on here, Parapost Network is teamed up with Paralinks. It's another great place to watch paranormal podcasts. So just wanted to shout that out real quick. We have amazing guests today. It's from 3Haunted podcast. We have John Kelly and Ashley Turner. I want to bring them in right now and get them on the screen. Oh, hold on. I just muted John by accident. There we go. What's going on, John? How are you, Ashley?
Hey.
Hello.
Good. How's it going?
Good. So how you guys been?
Busy.
Hello.
Well,
I know it's been a while.
Well, we all can't go to Hawaii, Ashley. All right. Ridiculous.
Who's in Hawaii?
I am. This is my first time here, guys.
So you're the one that steals all the good weather then?
Yeah.
I mean, probably.
The question is, did you surf?
No.
Well,
but
what?
But I did snorkel with like turtles and in the coral reefs, and that was awesome.
Tell me you saw a shark.
No, that would have been terrifying.
Oh, awesome! But I would have been.
I'm not the strongest swimmer, so putting me on a surfboard probably wouldn't be the best idea. Like I can swim and I can, save myself if something goes wrong, but putting me out on a surfboard and tumultuous waves, probably not the best idea.
Oh man, see, John, if we ever all get together and we're on a boat, we're pushing her over. 100. I'm just joking. But,
trying to make a ghost in real life, right? Like just a new ghost.
Hey, I need someone to communicate through my spirit box with, so I figured why not my Proby? You know,
right.
Proby.
Yeah.
Although I'd be a really mean ghost if you threw me off a boat, like. You would all your stuff would be hidden. I'd be like pinching the back of your arm like grandma style. Like it would not be the nicest ghost.
Okay, yeah, no, never mind. I don't. That's anyway. What I wanted to ask you guys was first I'll ask John. John, like, how'd you get into like podcast? Like, how'd you get into the just supernatural? Like, getting into this interest? Like, what was it about it that attracted you to it?
Well, before I answer the podcast question, I'll go ahead and answer the whole supernatural thing. I basically had an experience at like 12 or 13 years old. I couldn't explain it. Um, was freaked out by it at first, of course, like most people are. And as I grew older, I just wanted to learn more, like what happens after we die. So I looked into doing a little paranormal investigating myself. I would do like some of the parks that were close by, and that were known for being haunted or having weird activity. So I would go out there and do that. I would bring either my cousin and my daughter, who was actually 9 at the time, with me because she was interested in it as well. So we kind of teamed up and did that a little bit. And then as the years gone by, I went ahead and joined a couple teams and learned more ways of doing things. I wouldn't say, proper, obviously, because there's no real way to do it, but
Yeah.
uh, learned the respectful ways, we'll say, on how to do it. No provoking, no, coming in there like you're the shit, if I can cuss, sorry. But
No,
yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, that's how that happened. And then
awesome.
as far as
I think you're
podcasting
allowed
go,
to. I think you're allowed to cuss because I think one of their previous guests asked if they could see him naked and they wanted to do things to him. So
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
On this podcast, anything goes. I mean, if you want to smoke weed, if you want to smoke cigarettes, because the way that I look at it as if people don't like what they're watching, they can always change the channel, right?
Exactly.
So
there's millions of wholesome podcasts out there. So
yeah,
I think they're covered.
Right.
right. But yeah, no, that's an awesome experience, man, to have. And like, so what really got you into the whole podcasting? Like, how did you meet Ashley? Like, how did you guys get this all started and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I'm getting to you, but I want to ask John this question.
I mean, meeting Ashley was a whole other story. Um,
Uh-oh.
yeah, no, it was a very good story. So we have a mutual friend, Kevin, who we started the podcast with. I've known Kevin for years through the ghost hunting teams that I was a part of.
Cool.
And Ashley met him a whole other way. I'll let her tell that part of the story because I'll probably screw it up. But one night they were doing like a film festival or some type, and I actually got to go because I was off of work like you. I know how it work is all the time. So yeah, for one night I actually had the night off and was able to go and hang out with my friend Kevin and see these films. And they were student films, that's what it was. And so he's like, hey, I have somebody I want you to meet. I met her a couple days ago, blah blah blah, she's really cool. And so that's how we got together and just started an instant friendship right then and there. The podcast came like years later.
Awesome.
Yes.
So Ashley, how did you get into it, and what basically the same question I was going to ask John, I asked you. So what got you into all this? What attracted you towards it, and what got you into doing a podcast?
So I've always, since I can remember, like I think my youngest memory is probably like 4 of paranormal experiences. I've always my family calls me the ghost magnet. They think it's funny. So basically, if there's spiritual presences there, I can usually feel it, or it usually just kind of reveals itself, even though I don't want it to. Like, I will walk into a place where they're like, this is haunted. And I'm like, if you're here, I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. We're good. You just do your thing. That never works.
No.
So it's always just been a way of life, a thing for me. I don't do the paranormal investigating like John does. They've started getting me out to places to kind of partake a little more, but they're really having to baby step me because I don't know. I feel like I've already lived it. To try and go out and intentionally find it, it scares me, to be honest. And yet there's a part of me that's still connected, obviously, because I talk about it on the podcast, and I still go to these places, still read about it. So obviously I'm not 100% scared. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. I think I'm just trying to figure it out in my own way.
Now, see, for the people that like fear it, like the way that you do, you have this fear for it. What is the fear that you're getting? Is it the fear of just the unknown? Is it the fear of, oh my gosh, something could follow me home? Is it the fear of not knowing if it's a good entity or a bad entity? Like, what's your fear about getting into it?
I think most of the things that I've experienced growing up have been more of the like, because I feel the energies, I guess, if that makes sense. And so most of them that I've encountered have felt really, really bad, really not so good. And I don't want to say evil because I'm not sure if I really align with that, but they feel really, some of them have felt malevolent, some of them have felt like extreme rage. Um, just a lot of the kind of darker vibrations. And so for me, that's the world I know. Like you hear about people that are like, oh, I saw and met the angels, or I saw and felt, these light beings and these light creatures. And it's like, that's so awesome. I think if I experienced that on the regular, I'd probably be more into, okay, let's go hunt it out. But for me, because the stuff that I tend to experience and feel and encounter is not that end of the spectrum, I do fear it more. And I'm like, nope, I don't want that. I don't want that interaction.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Have you ever thought that maybe it was like, because I know it's like it goes in a vibrational pattern where if you're vibrationally sending out, scared type frequency, you may get these more negative type entities that will, kind of like scare you into something that you don't want to see. What if you change your vibration to more, thinking about it positively, like you're going to experience something positively and maybe you'll have that experience.
We've heard that a lot. And I would say that in theory, that sounds great to me. But that's really hard. Like if you think
Yeah.
about when you're in a moment of fear, to be
Yeah.
like, hold on, raise your vibration, change it up. You're gonna bring in good stuff. Like in theory, it's like, okay, if I sing to myself and I start dancing in this really spooky asylum, it's gonna be okay. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't know. I don't. I feel you, and I understand that, and I
No,
would
no,
love to be able to adapt to that. It's just trying to figure out like how to control my mind so I can do that, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Because right now, I think my mind
Oh,
is my biggest block.
it's definitely a training. Like you can't just go into it and expect it to happen. Like it's something you definitely need to train yourself to do because I mean, we are all like, as human beings, our mind goes straight to default negative. And like we immediately experience that, okay, well, I've had all these bad experiences where it's negative, so how do I like switch my brain into thinking that it's not going to be negative this time so that I attract that positive experience? And I kind of feel like, I do it too. Like I'll have these negative experiences and then all of a sudden I'll get trapped in that, oh, I'm scared, like, I don't want to deal with this. And then every time I have something happen, it's like, oh, yep, it's a negative experience. And it took me a while to basically switch that and be able to, attract that positive experience. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I think about like as being a child, I wasn't like I don't think I was a low vibrating child. Um, and these moments, as I've been like, as I've gotten older throughout life, I don't feel like I'm walking through afraid. And like, I don't feel like I'm walking through like, maybe I am. Maybe that's something I need to look into, that I've got some kind of low vibration that's constantly ringing out, because oftentimes I'm not afraid when I feel the energy wash over me. It's one
Yeah.
of those things because again, I'm not out there ghost hunting, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm experiencing things, I'm just going through life. And then all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, pen like needles are prickling the back of my shoulders, like I'm being like picked with a bunch of pins, and like dread washes over me. And this sensation is really hard to describe. It hits me and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
oh no, here we go. Okay. So with those, it's like I have to figure out if it is a law of attraction thing, like what the hell am I operating on that I don't know that's like beaconing these things in?
I, I tell you what, I really think you're sensitive, and I honestly think that you're not that you're attracting them, but I think that they're attracted to you because One thing a medium told me was when someone's sensitive, it's like a beacon of light in that darkness of the afterworld or the afterlife, and it's like you're that beacon of light where they'll attract themselves to you. So maybe that pin feeling you're getting, and maybe that feeling you're getting is them coming towards you, like because maybe they're either want help or maybe they're trying to like get your attention somehow, but because you're not obviously trained and used to it, maybe it's like draining you and making you feel like, okay, this feels negative and I don't like this.
That makes sense. I'm making
So,
that
but,
negative association.
Just a theory,
It's better than what I've got. For me, like when I was younger and I would feel that, like, oh, pinpricks and dread and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh gosh, do I have like nerve damage? Is there something going on? Like you try to put the science behind it that we know, and it's like, is there something wrong with my body? Oh no, and then I figure out later that like, that's just your warning signs.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy how our inner senses will tell us things, and it's sad that we can't really detect the inner senses like we can like our outer senses. But one of our viewers, Nando, who's a co-host on here, he says, question for John. What did you do to teach yourself to become a paranormal investigator, John?
Well, ironically
Good
enough,
question.
yeah, that is a good question. Ironically enough, like most people, I think I just watched the TV shows and figured out what would work for me and what didn't. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that happens in between what happens on the shows. They don't show the fact that you're sitting in a room for 3 hours talking to yourself and you don't get any answers or you don't get any activity or anything at all. They don't show any of that because they just want to show the cool stuff. And sometimes that doesn't happen. So it was just a lot of trial and error on, how I wanted to present myself to the spirits because like we've said before, they were living people and I want to respect, them even now as regular people. So just kind of, just practicing different techniques, being polite, asking the questions. Will you show yourself? Not can you, or, like just show me, do something for me. I don't, do those. Is asking questions. And if they don't want to do anything, then we'll move on. Not a big deal. If nothing happens, we'll move on to other questions or other parts of wherever we're investigating.
Yeah, no, I like that answer. No, that's a great answer.
Can I tell you that that's one of the things that drives me nuts when I watch investigations? And I apologize if I offend anybody that does this, that's watching this. This is my own personal opinion. But when, all the really cool gadgets are set out and we hear investigators, and I think they're not doing it intentionally, but it just really is like, these are spirits. And, if this is a real thing and we're communicating with spirits of things that were once people, like they're still people in a sense, right? And so like to hear some of the like, well, if it's really you, touch that middle ball, light that ball up, or set that light off. If it's really you, do this. And it's just like, if someone came into my house and was like, Ashley, if that's really you, go turn on that middle light switch. Like, how about flipping the statement or question a little? Like, hey, if you're here and you'd like to communicate with me, here's all these really cool things I've set up. Feel free to interact with one of them so I know that you're here. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too sensitive to that. But I feel like...
I agree with you, definitely.
It's kind of like this.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I've shared that before too. Yeah, that's
how I look when AJ phones me.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I see how
I love it. I believe it.
Well, no,
I just want to hear Robin talk more because I want to hear the accent.
I know.
Robin, tell me your story. Who are you? What do you do?
There you go, Robin.
I'm just quite boring, really.
It's quite boring. Yeah. This is the most quiet he's ever been.
Yeah, it sounds like me.
No,
we never did answer your question about the podcast, though.
Yeah,
we were getting there. Okay, so basically, I think it was like 2019. before the whole pandemic bullcrap.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do something with Ashley and Kevin, like a project, and we were trying to throw ideas out. And I think one of the ideas that had happened or that was thrown out was like, let's do a YouTube show and visit places that most people haven't gone to. And, we'll do like little mini investigations. That was trying to get Ashley into the whole investigating thing too. So that was my way of trying to get her into it anyway. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the pandemic hit and we couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So one of us, I don't know who it was, said, hey, let's do a podcast instead. And boom, yeah, it was Ashley. So
I only say
obviously,
that because I didn't want to go ghost hunting.
I know.
I was like, how about a podcast, guys? We could talk about ghosts. We don't have to go see ghosts.
Very true, very true. But yeah, so that's how that happened. And so yeah, it was just interesting how we tried to do different things. And then of course life has other plans, and bada boom, here we are with the podcast. So
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I actually recently listened to your recent episode with the lady who was the galactic ambassador.
Oh, the galactic ambassador.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Lisa J. Thompson.
Yes.
Hey Thompson, tell me a little bit about what a galactic ambassador is, because I quite didn't understand when she was explaining it. So did you guys understand it a little bit?
A little bit, like Ashley's face. I couldn't explain it like any better than she did, probably not. So I have no idea.
Okay, so to me, a galactic ambassador, the way I understood it, and I hope I do justice to what she's doing, it's just someone who is here that's like helping raise awareness and consciousness about like extraterrestrials and the different planet systems, and being kind of like that liaison between those life forms and ours, because I think she also channels messages between different species of extraterrestrials. And so I think just being kind of that liaison on Earth for humans to be able to communicate and also be more aware there's more out there than just us, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I found it fascinating. I really did, because you guys have heard of CE5, right? Or SETI 5 or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So like what Dr. I forget his name, Greer Thompson, or what's his name? He's like Dr. something, but he does the SETI 5. He's in charge of it. And I tell you what, like the stuff that they have captured has been out of this world. And I think that we need to like make contact without the government, you know what I mean? I think we need to make our own contact if there is, something out there that is more intelligent than us, which I believe that there is from what they captured.
I mean, on the top of the volcano here on this island, there are telescopes that are just massive. Like you can see, and they call it their space surveillance. And for me, it's just like, that's an interesting word choice. Now, I know that they're saying, it's to look for asteroids and to look for things. But considering I learned from Dr. Lisa and other guests that the islands of Hawaii are actually the most common for UFO sightings. And they've documented like UFOs going into the ocean. And she was talking about ocean bases. It's like, maybe they're not that far off. And I've had a lot, back in the day, I feel like we can all be there because we're all kind of from that time frame where it was like, okay, here we go, conspiracy theories. But over the past few decades, we've learned like conspiracy theorists really aren't that far off. They're not that far wrong based on how much is being revealed, right? How much information is coming out. It's like, oh, they were right after all. So now when I hear stuff, I'm like, that's possible. That could be a thing. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has came out lately that has proven a lot of stuff to be true. And it's scary because it's like, where did these people find this out, And like, how come it took us so long to believe them, Like, look at Bob Lazar, for example. Stuff that's coming out that he said back in the like 70s and 80s has actually been verified nowadays. Like the bone thing where like he stuck his like where the security would stick your hand in, they would measure the bones in your hand, and it was an actual machine that they just recently found that was that you can Google, and like everything, the element 115 that they found that is actually what Bob Lazar said. I mean, there's too much evidence to say that there's not something going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just like you hear about all of these people's experiences and encounters, and the more I'm like talking to people, I don't know what to expect, but the more I'm talking to individuals that talk about these encounters, it doesn't sound so far off base, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like if someone came and told me that story, like the way they tell it, and it's so earnest, and it just sounds like this person really believes what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this person is coming across lying and trying to spin stories to get, notoriety or fame. And so it's like they actually have more to lose telling them their story than like more to gain. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know about you, John, but I feel like my eyes have been opening so much, and I've been challenged in ways that I think are good just by having a podcast and having conversations with people.
Right, right. I definitely agree with you. And I was actually speaking with Callie, one of our other guests on the podcast, the other day on how we started and kind of where we were and the different topics that we had touched on before as to where we are now. And it feels like we're actually helping people understand different things that we didn't even understand. So we're learning as well as our listeners, which I thought was just amazing. And I never thought that the podcast would become something like that. So I'm just super stoked about that.
So tell me, how many people are now listening to 300 podcasts? Because I've noticed you guys have grown massively, and I think that that's awesome because the amount of guests that you guys have on are like some really amazing people.
Yeah. Last I checked, download wise, we were 3,300 and something. So
In what span of time?
that was, well, I mean, it was from basically 20, we started what, 2020 until now. So it's grown slowly, but over the last year in this season 3 for us, it's just gone. It's like skyrocketed.
That is
So
awesome. That
yeah.
is
Yeah, I
super.
noticed like last season had finished airing, and over the summer, people were still listening, and we
Right.
were checking like what episodes they're listening to, and we realized listeners were going backwards. They were going to season 1; those episodes are being downloaded, and they were actually like going back to listen to the seasons, which I love. I love that
Yeah.
because it's like one of my friends listens to the show, and he's not into most of this stuff. Like he calls the woo woo stuff. He's not really into it. And at first he's like, I'll probably skip those episodes. And I found that he will message me about those episodes now that we're 3 seasons in, and be like, wow, that was a really cool episode. I didn't know that people could do that or this. And I'm like, so not for you, but now it is.
Hey, that's awesome though, because like I said, you guys provide a lot of information for your viewers, and the people that you bring on such great information themselves. It's like liquid gold. And I think that like people can learn a lot from what you guys are bringing on to your podcast. And that was one thing that attracted to me, because the other night I was at work and I followed you, and I was just listening to episode after episode, and my boss came running in, and I'm just like, mute, mute.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was good stuff. And I tell you, you guys have a long career ahead of you, because you guys, it's very professional. To any of our viewers that are watching right now, definitely check out 3 Haunted Podcast. on Spotify, Apple, you name it. I mean, go ahead, you guys tell it.
We're all over the place. We even have YouTube channel going up. We're Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, all the major streamings.
So I mean, I'm saying definitely check them out. But tell me, what was one of your favorite podcast episodes so far?
I didn't hear the question. What was the?
I'm sorry, I said what was one of your favorite podcast episodes so far? What was one of your favorite guests so far?
I'll let Ashley go first because she wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I was. Paranormal Games. The
I know
first time
that's.
he
Oh
asked
my
it.
goodness. Yeah, that was yeah.
The Paranormal Games episodes are always going to be my favorite episodes. We've recorded, only one has aired currently, but we've recorded 2, right, John?
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember if we were on 2 or 3, but those are so fun. It's just basically paranormal games that people play. And just we research them, talk about them, and I haven't played any. Other than the ones people have played, like Light as a Feather, Civ War, we've all played that, I think, as kids, at least, because the craft came out and everybody wanted to try it. Nobody could lift me. I have a big butt. But yeah, that's a fun one for me. I always have fun talking about that and freaking myself out.
I should have narrowed it down because I asked you that question, and that was a generalist question that I did ask you before. But my question that I should have asked you was, what was your favorite paranormal person to come on that that was in the studies of how do I say this? I want to say like the etheric realm, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Okay, so what is one of your favorite guests that have came on that you were gonna have come on again because it was just that intriguing to you?
That's a hard one because so many have been freaking fantastic. I have to think about that one.
Yeah, because you guys have had on some amazing guests.
Right. I mean, I know there's definitely one that we're trying to get back on, and I got to throw him out there. Good old David Gunn from season 1, and I think he was with us for season 2 a couple times when we talked about aliens and stuff. But yeah, he's a good one. He always makes me laugh and has good points to everything too. So that's one of the ones that I would definitely like to have back for sure.
That's great. How about you, Ashley?
I guess, does this count in the paranormal world? I've loved all of our guests, but I think our demon practitioner guest, JL Burkholder, was probably one of my favorite conversations. He talks about being a Lilithian. So he worships Lilith and invokes her, but he also does like demon pacts. That was a really interesting conversation. So also one of our longest episodes.
Yes. It was. I'm sure it was hard for you to edit for that because he just had so much good information. He came prepared, like he said. Like I wanted to make sure I was prepared. I'm coming in with everything information that way. You guys have questions, I have the answers, and it was fantastic. I agree with that one too.
See, when a guest is prepared like that, there's no better show, because the amount of information that you can gain from somebody, especially in the field like that, can further your research as an investigator. And that's the reason why I do the show. Me and Robin do this show is because we want to learn from as many people as we can that we have on. And I think that it's awesome that you guys had great guests like that on that was prepared, because those are the best episodes in my opinion.
Yeah, he was really good about leading up to the conversation too, like messaging you, here are some thoughts of what I'm thinking about talking about, and here's some subjects I'd like to talk about, if that's good with you. And like, you don't have to, this is your time to really converse about whatever is you're wanting to share. We are all about talking about whatever you'd like. So he was really collaborative, which I liked.
Right. And like we tell our guests before we start, we don't have a set agenda. We just conversate and just converse and just talk. and let the conversation just go naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we're talking about guests that were like paranormal, like ghost based, I would say one of my favorites that we've had on a few episodes is Callie. She's
okay.
she was a host, a tour ghost tour host for the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, which a lot of people associate with The Shining. She's
Yep.
had a lot of experiences. She also does like dream interpretation and stuff like that. So she's been a phenomenal one that I really enjoy having conversations with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah,
And that's all John. You knew her from a paranormal
Yeah, actually,
investigation,
yeah, I
right?
went up to the Stanley Hotel just to visit. We were visiting Estes Park for the day, and I'm like, "Ooh, let's go do this ghost tour." And she happened to be our guide, and that was when I was starting to get into the whole investigating thing. And so, of course, I had tons of questions for her after the tour was over. And she's like, "You know what? Let me give you my Facebook information. Contact me on there. You want to ask questions? I will answer anything you want." And we just became friends, like right off the bat after that, which was really cool.
No, that's awesome. I tell you what, like that's the best way to make connections because I make connections constantly like that. Like I'll just meet people like either at work or whatever. They'll have some amazing stories, and I'll be like, "Oh, well, come on, share it." You know what I mean? Because it's just it's amazing some things that people experience.
Oh, yeah.
So, but hey, for bucket list wise, Ashley, who do you want to have on your show? Bucket list.
That's hard.
That's what she said.
Oh,
Ah,
I had to throw that in there
John, do you
somewhere.
have someone? Because I have to think about that. I don't know.
I do, but I forgot his name, and that sucks so bad. Um, just because, and he's not really paranormal. I'm going to throw this one out there while I think of the other name. Kevin Smith. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. I know that fool can talk like a mofo, but I would love to have Kevin Smith on my podcast,
I
just to
bet he's
talk
got
about
some
something.
ghost experiences.
Oh, I'm sure he's got some experiences.
yeah.
You know who I would love to have on? I would love to have on, and AJ, you're gonna laugh at me, but I would love to have on Maynard James Keenan. And here's why. Because I think that guy, based on the Tool songs and visuals and stuff like that, I think he's connected to stuff that we aren't aware of or has had encounters or experiences, even if it's drug induced, that I really want to pick his brain about. Like, where the hell did you come up with that? Because that feels like a lot of the lyrics and the symbolism and stuff like that. Like, if there's someone who's a galactic ambassador, I feel like he might be one of them.
I agree.
I totally agree with that.
I
You
know
know
it's so
what?
random and weird.
You know what? That's right. I got a random one for you. You know who I would like to have on? And even though it's definitely drug induced for his spiritual things that have happened, I would love to have on Steve-O from Jackass.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Steve-O has had some crazy experiences, whether they're nations, drug induced, whatever. He has had some crazy quote unquote ghost experiences during his drug abuse. And I just think that a lot of people can learn from him otherwise through about addiction. But I would love to have him on. That would be a bucket list for sure.
For sure. So I remembered the name because I had to look up the movie. Um,
Yeah,
Travis Walton, the guy that got
yeah,
abducted in the 80s.
yeah,
That
Yeah.
started my whole alien, like, wondering what
yeah.
was out there kind of thing. And that movie freaked the hell out of me, too. I would love to hear his side of everything. And I know he shows up at like some paranormal conventions and stuff every once in a while, but I would love to have him on and just hear, firsthand what he experienced. That'd be amazing.
You know who
Oh,
I'd love to have on? I don't know who specifically. I would like to find a person that has actually gone through possession and exorcism. Not like
Yes.
a person who's witnessed it or said, my cousin or my sister. I would like to have someone come on who actually has believed they were possessed, and maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but that's not the point. But like they went through possession and an exorcism. I would
Yeah.
love to like talk to somebody about that.
yeah. That would be pretty awesome because you would get the first-hand account. And like, I wonder if they would even remember any of it, to be
Right.
honest. But it would be great to have a conversation with them to find out what they witnessed.
for sure. And I feel like maybe they do. I know some people that, they write about it or have done interviews. They're like, I don't remember it. But I feel like maybe that's like a taboo topic, like a shame thing or an embarrassment. So it's like, I don't remember. But kind of like with ghost experiences and stuff like that. Like we talked about, where you say, I have a paranormal show, and people are like, oh my God, let me tell you about this ghost experience I had. And they've never told anyone because they were embarrassed. They thought people would think they were crazy or make fun of them. And so I kind of wonder if that's like the same thing when it comes to possession, right? Like someone went there, but they're like, if I talk about it, that I remember, here's what happened, there's a sense of shame. But it's like, I remember nothing, it didn't happen, then you can kind of start to push it away.
Right.
Yep. So, guys, I have one question for you, and this is for the viewers. And I want to know if you could give us any tips on, or the viewers, any tips on how to start a podcast, and what you guys did to start this podcast to make it where it is today. Because I think a lot of people would love to start a podcast, but yet they just are scared. They don't know how. And I think that, from learning from people like yourselves who have a successful podcast, I wonder if you can give us some tips for the viewers.
Ash, you want to go first?
Threw under the bus.
Oh man, I feel like the first, and this is my my personal thing, the first thing before ever starting a podcast is identifying what it is you want it to become. Because I think a lot of people, a lot of creatives, myself included, we shoot from the hip a lot. We're like, well, I got to do it, and I got to do it yesterday, so I'm just going to do it and pump it out. But I think it's really good to take a step back, pause, even if it's like take 5 hours, because is magic going to be lost if you took 5 hours to think about something? Take some time to think about, what do you want to become? And something, I don't want to say this in a condescending way, but it's not like, well, I want to be Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan. You have to be yourself. So like, what is it that you want your podcast to become? And what is it you want it to be identified with? And if it's like, well, I don't know, I just want to talk about this stuff, that's okay too. That's what you're identifying as. I just want to talk about XYZ. Okay, cool. I think organization, everybody hates that word, but I think organizing yourself is really key, especially ahead of time when it's slower, right? If you get yourself set up with like, I have a spreadsheet, and my spreadsheet is going to show when I'm recording, who I'm recording with, what dates. Even if it's like, well, I only have one guest next month, that's okay, because you've built that foundation so that when you pick up, right? Because you want to think that way, law of attraction. When I pick up and I'm having guests left or right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, every day, now I've got a tool to organize myself, or that's already been built, right? So it's you just pop in guests when you're recording, where you're recording. John laughs at me. I have like a color-coded spreadsheet.
I laugh, but I love it.
Yeah, it keeps him on track because he's like, when are we recording? And he looks, and I have all the dates, who's going to be on it. And so it helps, especially if your podcast really picks up and you're recording a lot, because it's really easy. And I'm sure all my podcasting friends can agree. It's really easy to lose track of when you're recording, who you're recording with. Time change. I do that for us because we have guests on the East Coast. We have guests in Australia, UK. Yeah. And so it's like, I'll put, this is the time for us. This is the time for them. So we remember.
Yeah, because math is not my thing.
And that's for anything.
Right.
Not only that, you have to make sure that you like know your person that's coming on. You have to kind of do a little research if you don't know them.
Yes. Right. We, before like our first season, or half of our first season, part of our second season when we had guests, it was all people we knew. But now that we've started branching out to people we don't know, we do like a pre-meeting. And it's like 15 minutes on Zoom. Let's talk to each other. Let's make sure we vibe. Not just us with them, but making sure they like us, because they may say, fuck, you're crazy, Ashley. I don't want to talk to you. And that's okay. They don't want to be my probie. And that's okay. it's better people figure it out ahead of time instead of like squeaking through a podcast like this is the worst episode ever. We're all uncomfortable. We're not vibing. So doing like a pre-meet. But the one thing I would say that people, no matter what passion it is, you don't have to spend a lot of money. People think I gotta buy the best gear and the best this, and it's like you can start free and figure out if it's for you. You can use like these headphones. I have a mic and headphones at home to record with, but like that took time. We started wearing these little things, John, myself, Kevin, to record. Everybody has headphones, so it's like, you know what? Just use your headphones.
Right.
If you find, I want to up the production value. I want to up this. Okay, invest if it's your thing. But if it's not, why not start free? I know a lot of people ask what platform, right? And it's just like, it's whatever works for you. If you want it free, go to Anchor. If you want to pay, there are many platforms out there, but just takes a little bit of time to research.
Right. Like we've been on a couple just because, one didn't work out or something else. But yeah. So
yeah, you're not married. Exactly, John. Like, good point. You're not married to what you choose. So if you say I'm gonna record on StreamYard and StreamYard doesn't work for you, and so you try out Riverside and then Riverside doesn't work for you, you could that's your time. That's potentially your money. You can say, you know what, you're not working for me. I'm firing you, and off I go to try something new.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like Ashley said, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I got $20 headphones on right now. I mean, come on, And we started off, like she said, with the little microphones, and then we got upgraded to some better ones that Ashley liked to bump every once in a while because she talks with her hands. During the first season, she we started a game. It wasn't really a drinking game, but we started a game to where every time you'd hear Ashley bump her mic, you'd have to take a drink because it happened a lot. It was one of the ones with the arms. And like I said, she talks with her hands. And so it was a funny thing. So,
I think I'm part Italian.
I think so.
That's why you and I get along so well, AJ.
Yep, I would say so.
I'm like expressive, hit my mic. So, yeah.
She's gonna.
But I would just
like.
Yeah.
I would say too, you're not married to your topics, because people know when you're talking about something you don't like, or if you're having a conversation you're not interested in. They could tell. So if you find, like, we originally started talking about like paranormal and horror movies, but over time it expanded to metaphysical and expanded to UFOs and aliens because that's where it naturally went. And we're not going to stop it because that's what we're excited about, right? Like, yeah, I know last week we talked about the new Scream movie, but this week, guess what? We're talking to a galactic ambassador. Sweet. Like, talk about what you're passionate about. People connect with that.
Right.
They get excited about what you're excited about.
Yeah. Ashley doesn't like visiting haunted places. So Ashley's going to go visit a haunted Airbnb and check that out. And so, yeah.
Hey, there you go. Comfort zone.
It wasn't bad. I definitely heard stuff and felt stuff, and I was like, oh man. And now they're trying to get me, AJ, they are trying to get me to stay the night there. Like, no.
I'm pretty sure that's the plan, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, you totally should. John,
y'all better be ready. AJ, you better be ready for a phone call, me crying.
All right, because me and John will be on standby. We're coming down.
I'll be there too.
You're going to be walking one in front of me, one behind me.
That's
so that
totally
wherever
fine.
the ghost comes, I'm throwing you at them first.
Been there, done that.
Towards it. I will run towards it. Listen, the things that happened in my life, I will run towards it.
Best probie ever.
I love that type of stuff. You have no idea. So, tell me, how much do you guys get to investigate? Like, do you guys get to investigate often, or do you guys just basically focus mostly on the podcast? What do you guys do?
Well, there's been no investigating lately. Like, I've gone off and done. Yeah, I've gone off and done my own stuff every once in a while. But again, like, Ashley hasn't really done much, if anything, except for on her own to that Airbnb. But that was it. I would love to get out there and go do more again. I've been going to events where other teams would host something. I went to a seance the day before Christmas Eve, which was absolutely amazing and fun.
Did
And
you connect to something?
I did not, but
Oh,
really cool. So yeah, it was an amazing night, and Callie was there with us, and so yeah, I got to hang out with Callie again, and so it was cool. It was a blast.
one of our co-hosts said, so what's both of your thoughts on demonic entities? Do you believe they're real or something which is more for TV?
I think they're real, but they are less common than TV makes it appear. I think, you go out and you do investigations 99% of the time, you're not getting demonic stuff. It's either a grumpy spirit or somebody who was just an asshole in life. They're an asshole in death too. They're like, fuck it, I don't care. So that's what I
Oh
think it
yeah,
is.
no,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah. That's
I
my
totally,
opinion.
I found that out in Montana when I went to Montana State Prison with me and my buddy. Like literally, like it was just, you know, they were just begging to get out of there. They weren't even like they were angry, but they were sick and tired of people coming in, poking them, making them like light up stuff, and
Right.
they just wanted help, you know.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. But tell me, investigating, what was some of your guys like most scariest investigations you guys have been on?
um I've been to a couple places. Waverly Hills wasn't exactly
Oh,
scary. It was
so
creepy, but
jealous.
it
So
was it was fun. Yeah.
so
Seeing
jealous.
the shadow figures on the fourth floor. I think it's the fourth floor. That was amazing. I remember showing Ashley pictures, and
Yep.
that was just enough for her. She's like, "Nope, I don't want that
There
juju."
was only one. There was like the pictures weren't so bad except for one room. I don't remember which one it was. Was it the
Right.
one with the chair?
I think so.
That just like remember the pen needles on the
Yeah.
dread. Like as
Yeah.
soon as I turned or I was swiping, I was fine. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, it looks old, looks whatever. And then I got to that and I like froze. And
Yep.
the guys are like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like,
Nope.
"Oh my god!"
It's like, take
Like,
your
take it
phone.
away. Take your phone. Take it. I don't want
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So guys, when I was in Montana, right, we did a morning walkthrough, and the medium that I work with said that we were going to encounter something. A spirit was going to show itself to tell us that it was there to help us cross spirits over. Check out this picture. Look over to the right chair, the right wooden chair. See the mist in front of it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I zoom in on it.
Huh.
Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
And it's so crazy because that was during the day, and I snapped multiple pictures in this room, and I never experienced anything else in this room besides that. And the whole night we just got spirit box after spirit box communication. It was absolutely amazing. But these spirits were so like upset. They just wanted to like get out of this place, and I felt so bad. I mean, the thing that made me mad was Montana State Prison. They told us no crossing any spirits over, no Ouija boards, no none of this. And I was like, well, what if that was your grandmother who was trapped?
Right.
You want her to stay there forever? So I crossed the spirit over anyway. But it just like they were pretty pissed off at us, I have to say.
Oh well. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with them on the Ouija board thing. I wouldn't want to bring that into a place like that.
Oh, I would never. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
never.
but yeah, that's
So
just
I
me.
think that demonic entities. I think there are malevolent entities out there that were never human. I do
Yep.
think that there are things that are capable of attaching to humans and potentially sharing space, meat bags with humans as long as the host allows it.
Yep.
I don't think it's like the movies though. I don't
Right.
believe like heads are going to be spinning and we're going to be levitating off the floor. Um, I think it probably happens more often than we know, and people are carrying things around with them more than we realize.
Yeah.
that's just my personal belief. Whether it's a demon, I don't like to call them demons because that kind of isolates it to like one dogma, right? Like we're talking about like demons, God, devil, angels, stuff like that. And I think that no matter what religion you look at, they all reference those things. They all reference those darker vibration creatures, and they reference the lighter vibration entities. Yeah. And so I don't think we're all wrong. I think that there are some things out there we don't know, we don't understand, that are capable of things, but I don't think they're capable of spinning our heads without breaking our necks and killing us.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's kind of where I one of the places that I've been to is this actually abandoned factory in Utah.
I love this story. City. I love it.
I don't know which part you're gonna hear.
I love it all. Bring it on.
Half of it is it's really weird. Can we just like talk about this building? Makes zero sense. It's an abandoned factory that has been for sale for a long time. Nobody buys it. You walk in, and there's two doors. You can go in the right or you can go in the left. You go in the right side, and it's all wooden. Like we're talking way back. It's got to be hundreds of years ago that wooden section was built. You go in the left door, that's all cement, like silos and cement, and it feels very modern. These things are separated by a wall. So you cannot get from the left side of this factory to the right side of the factory through the first two levels. You actually have to go up to like the third level. And there's like this weird, funky doorway thing. It's almost like a window, like a low window, though. It's not really like a door. And that's really the only way to get to either like get through this factory. And it's so weird. Like there's this main room a few levels up on the wooden side, and there's a hole on the far corner, like an intentional hole. Someone didn't put a hole in the wall. There is a hole that goes down to what? I don't know, because I couldn't find it on the first or second floor. So don't know where it goes to. It's got to be down through one of the, like in between the wood partitions of the walls. But where it leads to, I have no idea. But we found people had been on the wooden side, on the ledges outside the windows, they had metal cages. And they'd been capturing birds, the pigeons that live there, and doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing to birds, like sacrificing them in that big main wooden room. Because they had left a few of the birds there, and it's not natural demise of a bird. And so like it was disturbing. I'm like, I don't even know if we should be in here. Like that's some pretty dark stuff. And then the wooden side was interesting the cement side, because there was another hole, a big square hole. And I'm like, why are all these holes in these floors? And they had written some pretty disturbing things, like this way to salvation and this way for redemption, like along the ledge. So I don't know if people are actually jumping in there. Really awkward vibes. And I felt the entire time I was there like this, a lot of different like energies, but I also felt like a really underlying, almost hidden one that was really massive and really dark. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know how many people will come here and actually attach to that one. I'm apparently a magnet for that stuff. So I felt it, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I actually told John, like, I was in there the whole time thinking I need to hide. I never felt that way going into places, but my instinct was hide. Yeah. Like, you need to hide. And I felt like a little kid, like I need to hide behind a wall. I didn't do it, but that's what I felt. Like I need to hide. And that was a really weird reaction from myself. The basement to this place, you could only get to the basement through the cement side with cement steps down. Those apparently, if you went to the right, it was interesting. You get to the end of the stairs of the basement, and on the wall it says, this way to heaven, this way to hell. And I'm like, well, okay, so is this like reverse psychology? If I go to heaven, I'm actually going to hell? Or is this real? And I'm going to walk to the side, and that's really like, the room to the left that was supposed to be heaven actually was a circular room. Why a basement would be a completely circular room, I have no idea. But there was just writings all over the wall. And I don't mean like graffiti tags. There was like symbols. There were things I couldn't make out. There were, it looked like sigils on the walls as well. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is heaven. I'm a little nervous to see what hell is. And we went over to the other side, and that one actually extended underneath the building. And the more I walked towards the like end, I started feeling like someone had placed their hand on my chest and was pushing me back. Like, you don't need to go further. And the more I tried to like, nope, this is in your head, just keep walking, the more it felt like someone was pushing even harder. Like, you don't need to go further. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this, even if it's myself, even if it's my instinct. I'm going to go and listen. I don't need to be down here.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I'm going upstairs, guys. And I felt like I needed to take someone else with me, a very specific person. I was like, you need to come too. For some reason, I've just got this feeling you and I don't belong down here. She didn't listen. She kept going. So I went up. Like, you gotta, you know, we're all adults, right? So someone can tell you something. And if you listen, you listen. If you don't, that's okay. They went further, and it turns out at the end of that section, there were tunnels that go who knows where. Like, I don't even know where they go, but there were tunnels that lead to underground, like Utah, which is a whole different thing in and of itself, because when I moved to Utah, I started having really crazy dreams. I lived there for a few years. I had started having crazy dreams about tunnels, and that I needed to go into tunnels, and there was something I needed to like fight in the tunnels. And I'm like, that's so weird. I've never dreamt that. And I had no idea. And then someone told me that, because it doesn't look like that town would have tunnels. Someone told me, oh yeah, there are tunnels in Utah all over. It connects from this city all the way down to that city. And I'm like, oh God. And I'm like, I'm not going in the tunnels. When I left, by the way, when we moved, like 2.5 years later, never dreamt about tunnels again.
Wow.
So fucking weird, guys.
Yeah, yeah, that is weird. That is very weird. Well, hey, I just wanted to say to you guys, thank you so much for coming on. I actually have a meeting with Global Ghost Hunt right at the moment that I have to run and get to, but I wanted to invite you guys back on. Are you guys going to be available to come back on by chance?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You got it. Yeah.
Thanks for having us on. This was a great time.
No,
yeah,
no. I trust me, next time we're gonna get on here longer, because there's a couple episodes that I wanted to talk about, but I kind of got cut short. But I appreciate you guys coming on. Happy New Year to you guys, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
And,
Happy New Year.
I will be talking to you guys soon for sure.
Thanks for having us on. Have a good night, AJ.
All right, talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So, guys, we are going to have another episode tomorrow night with Anthony Sabelos of Wraith Hunters, Texas Wraith Hunters, and Wraith World Podcast. So, stay tuned. Tomorrow night, you will be seeing all the stuff on our social media of the times and when to log in. So, I hope you enjoy the episode. I hope you enjoyed the episode tonight. Definitely check out 3Haunted Podcast on Spotify, Apple, Apple Podcasts, everywhere that there's listening devices. We truly appreciate all of you for watching, and thank you so much. You've watched another episode of Talking with the Source.